Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, November 20th, and this is the webinar for the group, and it is called How to Enjoy the Holidays Without Gaining 10 Pounds or some other terrible consequence that may occur. So I'm going to go through the slides, and then if you have questions or concerns, you can always email me. I'm going to send this out to everybody on the list and any of my clients that are interested. So I'm going to go right into screen share now. Okay, so we're talking about how to enjoy the holidays without getting 10 pounds or some other ill effect that you may experience from overeating or overindulging over the holidays. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cruz. I have a Master of Science in Human Nutrition, and I am a board-certified nutrition specialist. My specialty is helping women over 40 that hate dieting to lose weight and feel great without being deprived. And my background is in functional medicine, but I really specialize in working with women for weight loss, pre-diabetes, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. So obviously overeating over the holidays is not good for any of that stuff. So I'd like you to just think for a moment about some scenarios that you may have experienced. And the first one is that you're doing really well with your eating and you're leaning up or you're losing weight or you didn't eat sugar for a long time or whatever it is. And then the holidays roll around and all of a sudden everything is off track and you're overeating or doing something that you know is not good for you and you're completely thrown off. Some people may have experienced that. Or maybe what happens to some people is that they're doing really well and then they go into Thanksgiving and they end up eating poorly on Thanksgiving, overeating, eating too much junky food, whatever it is. And then you just say to yourself, you know what? I already screwed it all up. I'm just going to give up until January 2nd. I don't care. You know, I'm just going to go crazy for the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is. So some of you may have experienced that. Or sometimes we'll go to parties or family events, holiday events with really good intentions and we mean to do well, but when we get there, we feel like we don't want to be rude, we don't want to insult anybody, we don't want to feel awkward or whatever it is, and then we end up eating stuff that we really, even in the moment, don't want to eat, and then afterwards feel kind of guilty about it. So maybe you've experienced that. Or you already know ahead of time, you're going into Thanksgiving, you love pumpkin pie or stuffing or whatever it is, and you just know you're going to eat it because you feel like every year you eat it and it's just a weak spot and you eat it and then you feel guilty about it afterwards. So ultimately you really didn't want to, but even before you went to the event, you already felt self-defeated. So those are all different scenarios that can occur, and none of them are fun. So these are things that I've experienced or my clients have told me about, and they are all very real. So it is hard to stick to what it is that you want to accomplish over the holidays. It's hard for everybody, pretty much. You know, it's something that I really thought would be important to talk about. What makes it harder is that oftentimes you may feel like the only person in the room who even cares about this stuff. You may be looking around, sorry about that, you may be looking around going, why doesn't anybody else care about what they're eating? Don't these people gain weight from eating all these carbs or sugars or whatever? And you may feel like at that point, it's not even, it doesn't feel right to restrict yourself if everybody else is doing it, right? And so that we can really be influenced by the people around us. So the question is, you know, how do you get through the holidays without falling prey to all of these problems? Now, I had a client last year who was doing really well. She had lost a bunch of weight, and then on Halloween, she ate a bunch of candy. And she weighed herself a couple days later, and she was like, oh, man, I gained weight. And she felt awful about it. She felt bad. So we said, all right, well, you know, let's just get back to what you were doing. It's not a big deal. It happens to everybody. Let's just move on. And she did. And then she lost the weight back very quickly. But then Thanksgiving came And she kind of did the same thing. She ended up eating a lot of food over Thanksgiving. And then she didn't stop there. You know, Friday, she ate leftovers, Saturday, leftovers, Sunday, she was still eating pumpkin pie and mashed potatoes. And then Monday, she weighed herself and she had gained 4 pounds. And she was just so devastated by it because of all the hard work that she had done, or at least so she saw it that way, you know, hard work to lose weight coming up to that point. So what we realized was that we didn't really address the underlying problem at Halloween. And so it was just a repeat of Halloween, just different foods. And what we realized that what she said to me, which was so interesting, was she said, I learned how to eat well when things are easy, when it was easy. But now I have to learn to eat well and control myself when things are hard. And I thought that was so fascinating because it's true. It's true. Like, it's easy when it's easy and it's hard when it's hard, right? So how do you do it in those hard moments? And so together we actually developed a plan for the holidays because we didn't want her to then go into Christmas and do the same thing again. So out of that, you know, there are 3 strategies, and really there are probably more, but these are the ones that I thought were really juicy and helpful. 3 strategies to enjoy the holidays without overindulging, gaining weight, you know, going against whatever it is that your goals are. And they are: number 1, planning; number 2, strategically dealing with your family or friends; and number 3, mindset. So we're going to talk about each one of those. So the first is planning. And there are 2 aspects to planning. There's your attitude, planning your attitude and your mindset. And the other is logistical, which you would probably, what you normally would think of as planning stuff, practical strategies. But the mindset is really important. It's not just about logistically writing down, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You have to have your mindset in place first in order to be successful with the minutia details of what you're actually going to do. So the first thing you need to do is set a goal. What is your goal over the holidays? And I'm serious about this. I don't care what your goal was, you know, for the year or whatever. Right now, what is your goal for the holidays, for your health? Think about it, write it down. The goal may be, I don't want to gain weight. That is a very, very, very common goal that most of my clients say. I'm not going to really try to lose weight, but I definitely don't want to gain weight. Although some people also lose weight over the holidays, but some people just say, well, it's too hard. I'm just going to maintain. Great. That's a great goal. Someone else may say, well, you know, my goal is to just feel like I have control. Feel in control at those meals. Make good decisions that I know at the end of the day, when I go home and I get in bed, I can say to myself, wow, you know, you didn't overeat. You did a great job. I feel good about what I did. And that's very subjective, and that's up to you. Some people may say, well, I just don't want to eat any sugar for the holidays, or I don't want to eat any grains, or I only want to have sugar once a week, or something like that. Make it realistic, make it applicable to you, and write it down and be as specific as you possibly can. The next step is to ask yourself why you want to achieve that thing. So if it's maintain your weight, maybe your reason is, well, I've already lost some weight and I feel good and I don't want to gain it back. But you can even get deeper with that, right? Well, why do you not want to gain it back? Well, because I've experienced a vicious cycle of losing and gaining, and I want to break that cycle. And this is the chance right here, the hardest time of the year for most people. Well, why do you want to break that cycle? Well, because I want to have confidence that I'm not going to gain the weight back. I want to have confidence that I can do this. I want to feel that I'm eating in a way that I'm in control. Well, why do you want to feel in control? So you can get pretty deep with these whys, and I do suggest that you do go deep with it and really explore that, because your whys are tools that you will use in those difficult moments. Know your weaknesses. Is it an event? Is it a specific holiday? A lot of people, Thanksgiving is a weak one. Sorry for the calls. I don't know, turn this off maybe. What is your weakness? Is it that you know, if you love Thanksgiving, you know you love stuffing, you're going to eat 5 pounds of it. Boom, that's a big weakness, right? Not that I have that weakness or anything. You know, maybe it is every year there's this party that my company has and we all drink too much and we eat too much and I don't want that to happen. Or maybe it's my mother-in-law is going to guilt me into eating something I don't want to eat. I don't know. You probably have more than one. Write them down because you need to know what you're dealing with, right? So you know what you want to achieve, you know why you want to achieve it, and you know what's standing in your way. Makes sense, right? And then know that you're going to develop a strategy, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Have a strategy for whatever it is that you want to achieve. Allow yourself to enjoy the food. That's why I named this talk, How to Enjoy the Holidays. I want you to enjoy your holidays. Remember that. Keep that in the front of your mind always, because if you're not enjoying yourself, whatever it is that you're doing is probably not going to last. And then make sure you write down those weak areas. Write all of this down, all of it, as much as you possibly can. Get a notebook like that and start journaling about all of this stuff. Now, logistical planning is, now you want to do this for each event. This is not my plan for the holidays. Oh, I'm just going to eat before I go to every event. It cannot be willy-nilly. It's got to be specific. Hardcore strategizing here. This is, you're going into war, not really, but you know what I mean. It's challenging. So you need to have as many tools as you can to protect you. And one of them is that for each and every single event, you know, even if you have 3 holiday parties a week for the next 5 weeks, I don't care. I want to plan for each one of those. And if you are working with me, or if you are working with me in a, you know, one-to-one sessions, if you're in a program with me, I will be asking you to do that. It's very important. So for each event, are you going to eat before you go? Or are you going to bring your own food? Which is it? Both? Maybe. Know what you're going to do. And for each situation, it'll be different, right? I do recommend bringing your own food too when you go to someone's house. It's just, you know that you'll have one like safe dish that you can eat. Or if you know they never make vegetables, bring a big salad or like a big, you know, casserole dish full of roasted vegetables. And people will probably be happy. There'll probably be 5 other people there who will say, oh my God, thank you for bringing vegetables. So you may bring your own food. And then once you're there, eat slowly and take small amounts. There is no law written anywhere that says Thanksgiving, you must take 5, you know, heaping spoonfuls of each dish. There's no rule written anywhere. You can take 1 spoonful, even a tablespoon. And then when you get your food, eat it slowly. There's also no rule written that you have to scarf down. You know, 25 hours worth of work preparing a meal is gone in 20 minutes. Do you really want to do that? Eat it slowly. And actually 20 minutes would be long. So, you know, take your time, enjoy the food, and then also choose wisely. So when I personally do not like mashed potatoes, I mean, I don't hate them. I don't care about them. So when I'm picking my food on Thanksgiving, I take like literally like a tablespoon of mashed potatoes just to have like the taste in my mouth. I really don't care about it, and I'd rather make room for other things. So be strategic in the foods that you're choosing. Choose a little bit more of the foods you love and a lot less of the foods that you don't care about, if you even take them at all. Think about it. There's no reason why you should eat that food if you don't care about it. And there's all these other things that you know you're going to eat, right? So be strategic about it. Alcohol is a big one. Alcohol, not only does it have extra calories and your body has to deal with the toxin of alcohol, you know, your liver, but also alcohol it limits your prefrontal cortex functioning. So the part of your brain that's going to say, no, you should not have that 3rd piece of pie. That part of your brain, that's your prefrontal cortex. That's it. That's where it's coming from. That's where willpower and discipline and reasoning and forward thinking comes from. It's your higher brain. Alcohol shuts that down. So how are you going to make really good decisions if your prefrontal cortex is compromised? You're not. Now, if you love to drink and you love to have, you know, a glass or 2 of wine at a holiday and you really love that and you look forward to it, do it. Just do it. But if it's sort of like, I don't really care, then don't do it. There's no reason why you have to drink. Also, if you kind of know that you're the type of person that if you start, have 1 or 2 glasses of wine or 2 cocktails, that you're going to make the wrong decisions, well, maybe you can balance that out and say, look, maybe I shouldn't drink. That's up to you, but just know that alcohol is a big problem in terms of good decision making. Then also always remember that you can take a break. There's no reason why you can't take a break. Go into the bathroom. You remember the whys that we said, why do you want to achieve this goal? What is the goal? Why do you want to achieve it? Have it on your phone. Take your phone out or a piece of paper, whatever it is, and look at it and remind yourself why you want to not eat XYZ, or you want to limit your portions or whatever it is. Go remove yourself from the situation and kind of get your head leveled again. Go outside, take a walk, whatever it is. Sometimes you just need to kind of, you can feel yourself being drawn into the situation. There's no reason why you can't just take a break and regroup. So that's all part of logistical planning, and you need to know ahead of time what you're going to do. You need to know ahead of time. Have it all planned out in your head, and if you need to, write it down. So, and that's basically where, I'm asking you to make your plan now. Like, if you're listening to this video right now, stop it and write this stuff down now. Get a nice, pretty little notebook if you have to. And, what is your plan? What are you bringing? Are you, for each event, if you're going to indulge, what are you going to indulge in? How much? And remember, you have to enjoy it. You're not allowed to eat a brownie if you don't close your eyes and enjoy every bite. That should be your rule, right? Because what happens is when you eat mindfully, you actually enjoy the food and you don't eat as much. In theory, at least. If you're really mindful, you probably won't. And we'll talk about that again in a moment. Okay, so the next part. So we talked about planning, right? Your mind planned your mindset, plan your logistics. The next thing is, what are you going to do about those friends and family that are going to try to sabotage your best efforts? Whether it's, your boss or your best friend or your mother or your mother-in-law or your father-in-law, whatever. We usually encounter these people, and that's got to be kind of incorporated into the whole strategy. So my family is, we are all on the same page. There's no issue here. We all are interested in eating delicious food that's also good for us. So there's no crazy dishes. I mean, we make pies and stuff, but nothing, I don't know. I hear about some of these dishes that people make, like candied yams or something like that. And also nobody's going to make fun of anybody or force anybody to do it. Because, well, I'm lucky, right? But my in-laws, another story. It took me years to finally get to the point where I could just say to my mother-in-law, look, I don't eat factory farmed meat unless I'm really in a pinch. So I'm not gonna eat the meat at your house. Well, you know what she did? She was glad I told her, because she started then buying organic meat, which was better for her, better for all of us. So I finally was able to tell her, but I know it's hard. It's very hard to deal with family members. And the thing is that if you're changing, people necessarily first of all, they're not changing with you. And they also probably don't like to see you changing. That's something you've always done. And unfortunately, there are family members who actually don't want to see you be successful. Maybe those are the people that you don't even visit over the holidays. I mean, it's hard, but the reality is we know that there are, family members who really can be hurtful. So that's just something to think about. But they may take it personally, but that doesn't mean you have to, right? If someone's annoyed by your behavior, that doesn't mean you have to be annoyed with them. You can just go about your business. So it's hard. It is. And here are some tips that I have. The first is to map out the issues. Again, this is all really planning, right? Like, figure out ahead of time, who is that person, or who are those people that are going to give you a hard time in any way possible? Know who they are. I mean, obviously you can't anticipate everything, but if you already know, because every year they do it, or you suspect that they will, know what that is. Have it in your mind. Yeah, so there was something I was going to, oh, right. So people don't necessarily, people are not going to necessarily want to see you change, right? And the family members, hold on, I have this really good juicy thought and I'm trying to remember what it was. Sorry. Weigh out your, how important, okay, so basically put it this way. How important is this person to you? That is the first thing to think about when you're mapping out these issues. If it's like a random person that you hang out with socially, do you really care what that person thinks? So you want to weigh out, how much do I care about this thing? I mean, this person and what they think about me, and how much do I care about my goal? Right? So if that person is really, 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 really important to you and you know they're just going to be devastated, maybe you're flexible with your goal a little bit, right? Or in that particular situation. But most of the time, what it comes down to is, do you really care what that person thinks about you that much that you want to now derail your efforts that you've been making? Probably not. Probably 99% of the time not, because if you think about it, if that person doesn't care about you enough to respect your decisions and to actually want you to fail at your whatever it is that you're endeavoring to do you really, is that person really somebody you should be hanging out with? Okay, maybe it's your mother, I don't know, but it's hard, right? But I'm just saying, think ahead of time about your relationship with that person and about your goal, and weigh those out. So I think that's a really, really important point, because a lot of times, especially women, we try to please everybody, right? We think that we have to be everything to everybody, and God forbid we insult somebody, right? I've had clients tell me, I don't want to go to that party and do XYZ because I don't want to appear rude. I'm like, really? Well, let's weigh out what your priorities are here in life. What you care about, what someone thinks about you, or what's actually important to you, like your health. This is kind of deep, but think about it. And then what you can do in certain situations is you can warn people ahead of time. You can call your mom and say, look, I've been doing this thing and I feel really good and I love the way my body feels. And that cake that you make, even though it's absolutely delicious, I don't think I can eat it because it makes I feel good, like get them bought into the fact that it's benefiting you and it's for your health and all of that stuff. It's not going to work with everybody, but it's a possibility to do that with some people. And then also be understanding, because again, people are not going to change with you, and some people are just going to have their issues, and you don't even have to make it an issue, just because, as I said earlier, they may take it personally, but that doesn't mean you have to. Keep a low profile. There's no reason why you have to announce to the world that you're not eating gluten, or you're not eating dairy or sugar or whatever it is, or you're trying to lose weight. Like, you can keep that private. Nobody has to know. And a lot of times that makes it easier because nobody's sitting there inspecting everything that you're putting on your plate. Although I know some people do, but generally that doesn't happen. And then again, be flexible. Sometimes you may say to yourself, look, I made this plan, but I'm here in this moment and I feel like I'm going to maybe indulge in something. However, let that, please, let that be coming from a place of empowered choice, control. You're making that decision. The food's not making a decision for you, or the person's not making the decision for you. It's really important. So being flexible and just giving in are two very different things. I love this stuff. It's so interesting. Okay, mindset. Mindset is very important. So that's the third piece, right? So we talked about planning, dealing with family and friends, and then mindset. So the first thing, again, get out that notebook, list 5 or more reasons that you love the holidays that are not related to food. You love the weather, you love the crunchy falling trees, you love the seeing your family, being with your family and friends, you love all the lights, get into like other things besides food. And then that will segue into thinking about your attitude around food in the holidays. Why do you have to overeat? I'm not saying that you're overeating, but just think about it. If that's something you do, why do you overeat? What is it? Is it comfort? Is it nostalgia? Is it you're trying to get back at somebody else? You have a little bit of self-hatred or fear of change or whatever it is. Think about that, like really, and get deep into this and understand it, because again, like the more that you understand yourself and you're prepared, the easier it's going to be. And also, there's a whole thing about like food is pleasure, right? And we associate, holidays and any kind of celebratory event with food, with eating. That's our culture. That's the culture all over the world, actually. There's a reason why. However, we don't need to gorge ourselves, right? We can still enjoy our food without gorging. And so why would we do that? Maybe because we just think that that's what we've always done. So even thinking about it from that perspective of like, can I enjoy the holidays without overeating? What does that look like? What does that look like when I go to bed on next Thursday, Thanksgiving, I go to bed and I'm not stuffed and I feel good about what I ate. I feel good, like I made really good decisions today. I feel like I was empowered and I was in control. Wow, that's pretty exciting too. Maybe that's much more gratifying and exciting than just stuffing your face. I don't know. But I've had a lot of clients tell me that they seek pleasure from food, but when they're actually eating the food, they do not get that pleasure. And then they usually feel bad afterwards. And it's interesting because there's research in this where they do like brain, scans or whatever it is, they hook people up and what they found, and this has been done in multiple studies, is that they found is that the reward center, which is more like the limbic, the kind of the middle section of the brain, the limbic system, limbic brain, where our emotions and where our reward-driven behavior occurs, those dopamine rushes. That area is very lit up before the person engages in the addictive behavior, because they do these studies on, shopaholics and alcoholics, and before they engage in the behavior, their limbic brain is like, woo, yeah, and they feel excited, they look forward, and people with addiction talk about this, right? They just can't wait to get there and do that thing. But when they're actually engaging in the behavior, that system is just. So the pleasure is actually before you engage in the behavior, not during. So think about that as well. You could almost just say to yourself, I'm just going to pretend that I'm going to eat that food. And remember that if you're really mindful and in the moment, you're enjoying the food, that's where the real pleasure comes from. It doesn't come from mindless eating. It comes from mindful eating. And that's where, you close your eyes and you really savor the experience. And that will, as I've always say, mindless eating leads to overeating. Mindful eating does not. And that's where when I say enjoy the good food, what I mean is really enjoy it. Because the true pleasure from eating comes from your conscious attention put toward that food. So I always say, give your food the attention it deserves. Give your food the attention it deserves. So give it the attention, eat it slowly, mindfully, and you're going to enjoy it, truly enjoy it, as opposed to this false, this illusion of this dopamine reward response thing, which is really more of an illusion than anything else. And there's, going back to the days when we were out on the plains and stuff, this helped us, right? Because we would be driven to, find a mating partner or find food through that reward system. When things were not in so much abundance, then we would seek it out, right? So we're genetically wired to seek out these things, but the actual enjoyment factor, I don't know. I mean, maybe we have to really be eating slowly and be present in the moment in order to truly enjoy those foods. Okay, this is interesting stuff. I'm going to move on. And the last thing is to nourish yourself with the 8 nutrients. Now, the 8 nutrients these are all nutrients for your body, okay? And what I suggest you do is actually take your beautiful little notebook that hopefully by now you have or you'll get, and write down each of the word truth, each of these words on the top of the page, and then just write about it. Whatever comes to mind. What is your truth? Well, you know, I mean, when I think about it for myself, I think the truth is I can enjoy the holidays just as much by eating like a normal human being as I would if I gorged myself. Actually, the truth is I will enjoy myself more because I won't feel sick afterwards. The truth is that I want to be healthy and I want to be active when I'm 85 years old. I want to be able to travel the world when I'm 85. That's my deep why. That's the truth. So you can, everybody has multiple truths around food, but think about this around food and your health and the holidays and all of that. And then love, you know, a lot of this activity and behavior would come from self-love. It would not come from self-hate. It would come from, I love myself and I'm worthy of taking care of my body. That's a beautiful thing. Compassion and forgiveness, I think, are tied up with each other. You know, compassion for yourself and forgiveness to yourself for past mistakes. And just saying, you know what? First of all, my brain is wired for me to seek out food and eat as much of it as I can. So a little compassion for yourself, right? That's how we're hardwired. And then forgiving yourself for trying and failing in the past, because we've all done that, right? We've all made mistakes and tried to eat really healthily or do our best and then failed. But we have to forgive ourselves and have compassion for ourselves in order to move on to the next step, which is, you know, a very wise person said to me this week, she said, you know, I love Mondays because I wake up on Monday morning and I think it's a new week. It's a new time for me to try and do better than I did last week. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And she's like, actually, every day I wake up that way. And I say to myself, whatever, yesterday is done. Today is my new opportunity to do something better. And I think compassion and forgiveness are so important for that. In order for you to really change, you have to let go of the past and forgive yourself for all the bad things that you've done, like eating pints of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, which I've, in my lifetime, eaten hundreds and hundreds of pints of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And I know they're bad for me, but I can forgive myself for that. And then courage, it takes courage to change. It takes courage to try something that you've already tried before and failed at, which I don't believe in that. I think you learn from every single failure, but it does take courage. It takes courage to tell family members, say, no, I'm not going to do that or this, or I'm going to bring my own food. It takes courage to bring your own food when maybe that hasn't been done before, right? Commitment, definitely. In order to make change, you have to be committed, because otherwise it's too hard. It's too hard if you're not, you know, to do. If you're not committed, you're not going to do the work that needs to be done. Faith that this time will be different, faith that you can do it, faith in yourself, faith in your body. And then surrender, you know, surrendering to certain things, certain forces. Like I was talking about, sometimes you just let it go and you just be flexible in certain situations, or you surrender to, you know, the feeling that you really, really want to eat something. Just surrender to it. It doesn't mean you have to give into it and engage in that behavior, but you can allow yourself and accept that feeling. There's a lot of interesting stuff like in the world of motivation where they talk about if you want to do something and then you berate yourself for wanting to do that thing, and you start to try to suppress that feeling, that then you'll just think about it more and more and more and more and more. Like, why am I addicted to sugar? I shouldn't be thinking about sugar. Sugar is bad. And then all of a sudden, all you're thinking about is sugar, right? But if you just allow yourself and surrender to that emotion and those thoughts and accept them, then actually you can move on. They really lose their power when you kind of give yourself over to them in a sense, without engaging in the behavior, just emotionally surrendering to those thoughts and feelings. So that's all juicy, juicy stuff. I love it. I love it. And the last, so I just wanted to make a note about this course called Food Boss, which maybe many of you know about, but for those who don't, it's an online weight loss health optimization course that I teach periodically live. And I'm doing a little bit of a different thing from January. I'm going to offer it like do it yourself. And I'll also offer some other amendments to that. So if you wanted to do the do yourself with a little bit of extra coaching, you pay a little bit more or whatever. But I do have this course and I'm going to run in January. So you kind of have all the tools you need to get through the holidays now, because I've talked for 41 minutes. But you know, if you are interested in the course, then that will be starting again in January. So for all of you who stayed to the end of this, I appreciate it and thank you. And I wish you luck over the holidays, and you know where to find me if you have any issues or questions, or, you know, if you want to work with me one-on-one. I do, of course, offer programs for those of you who are not in the programs already. Thank you. And I'm going to go out of screen share here and say goodbye.